Coincidence or not, Duke's defense has struggled in the one-and-done era of recruiting. They struggled again last season until coming on late in the year when they fully embraced zone. After years of churning out top 25 defenses every single season, Coach K hasn't been producing elite man-to-man defenses. It's hard to pinpoint an exact reason. A lot of their top recruits don't have strong defensive reputations in recent years, like Bagley, Okafor, and Parker. Also, the fit hasn't always been great, with Bagley and Wendell Carter being the most recent example. This year, the length and athleticism of Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett, and Zion Williamson give Duke an opportunity to be a better man-to-man defensive team. The numbers from their foreign trip in Canada show a strong defensive performance, but digging a little deeper shows some deficiencies. The first decision that's going to drastically affect the style of Duke's defense is the amount of minutes given to the true five men on the roster, Marquise Bolden and Antonio Vrankovic. When those two were on the bench in Canada, Duke's versatility showed. They were able to switch ball screens 1 through 5 and as a result create more turnovers and chaos. The most distinctive defensive style Duke showed in Canada was denying players one pass away. The first goal of getting up into the passing lanes is to create turnovers and ignite transition, but there's also a secondary goal to disrupt opponents' sets. All three Canadian teams were well coached at executing their offense. By denying extra passes, you can prevent opponents from ever even having a chance to get into those sets in the first place. Ryerson was the best Duke opponent on the trip and extremely well coached. Duke emphasized denying the first pass and not letting Ryerson get into sets like this one. Here Duke is unable to deny passes and Ryerson dictates the whole possession. Compare that play to one where Duke is able to deny. McGill is trying to enter the ball to get into their offense here. Jack White is the first defender to deny, followed by Zion, who creates the steal. Here Ryerson is unable to get into their offense because of the denials by Williamson and Delorier. Instead, they settle for 2 ball screens, which Duke simply switches. Now there's 7 seconds left on the shot clock and Ryerson has yet to run any meaningful action. Duke seemed to lose focus on their denials during the Toronto game. Here Toronto easily swings the ball and gets into their scissor set. Because Duke is passive here, Toronto is able to run the scissor slice play just like they would in 5-on-0 during practice. The same exact play again with limited to no denials. This time Toronto scores off the slice screen. Now let's take a look at the impact of the denials. Again, it's the scissor play, but this time Zion forces Toronto to cut through as a pressure release. Now it's Jack White's turn to deny, and again, Toronto is forced to cut through. With only 10 seconds left on the shot clock, the play has to be abandoned altogether. Being overly aggressive on the denials can lead to easy baskets. The other negative of denials is open driving lanes. Because Jack White is focused on denying, he's not in the gap to potentially stun at dribble penetration. On ball screens, Duke switched 1 through 4 while icing with the 5. Here's Bolden in at the 5, and Toronto smartly clears out a side to put him in a ball screen. Goldwire did a great job in all 3 games of communicating the ice by pointing to the side he was going to force his man. Here you can see him point to the sideline to let Bolden get into coverage. Toronto runs the same ball screen here with the same Duke players involved, and this is how ice should look. Bolden is playing a soft center field, not letting the roll man get behind him. Goldwire shouldn't leave his feet here, but he gets back in position and Duke avoids having to get into any defensive rotations by icing. Icing can be dangerous if opponents get middle. Goldwire points to where he wants to force the ball, but isn't actually successful in doing that. When the point guard turns the corner, Bolden's not quick enough laterally to recover. This time Duke gets into ice, but Bolden is unable to execute. As soon as Goldwire gets back square on the ball right here, Bolden should be trying to get back to his man. Delorier shouldn't have to rotate. This should just be a stun. RJ and Zion mixed in both good defense and bad defense in Canada. Barrett blocked 4 shots on the trip and showed his length around the rim, especially on smaller guards. Overall though, I wasn't very impressed with his defensive performance, but he did play heavy minutes and carry a big offensive workload. That workload could have definitely been a factor for lazy plays like this. When guarding the ball, he struggled laterally and didn't get into stances. College defenses focus on taking away the three-point shot. Going under a ball screen may work at the high school level, but will get you burned in the ACC. Number 5 on McGill is a D1 transfer from American who really hurt Duke. When Goldwire was out of the game, Barrett got a chance to guard him. I thought we might see Barrett pick up his defensive intensity when guarding the best player on the other team, but the results were not very good. Zion Williamson made some of the same freshman mistakes, but also showed a lot of potential. Here's one of the best plays of the entire trip. Zion sticks to his man trying to deny the first pass until he realizes it's actually a ball screen. He then switches out into a very athletic and low position to play one-on-one. Not only does he get the stop, but he has second and third efforts in the play, ultimately getting the defensive rebound by diving on the floor. Here's the same high school closeout that we saw from RJ Barrett. And his motor wasn't always running in Canada. Here he just falls asleep. The Canadian teams weren't quite athletic enough to take advantage of some of these defensive shortcomings, and that's why Duke was able to hold them to under 0.8 points per possession. I'll have more thoughts on the individual defense of the role players like Javin DeLaurier and Jack White in an upcoming video that details who I think should be the 5th starter to go along with the other 4 freshmen. Look for that video later this week.